please hit that subscribe button.
Hey everybody.
Better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so we are back for another episode of NHL Remember Him, and tonight we are going to be talking about a very, very underappreciated second line center who had a very, very long career in the NHL, Jason Arnott. So some of you younger folks may not remember Jason Arnott all that well. He retired in after the 2012 season with the St. Louis Blues. But throughout the 90s and early 2000s especially, really through the entire 2000s, he was an exceptionally good second-line center who played for a number of different teams and was a big physical guy who could score and add a lot of offense in a top six role for a guy of his size, and just a really, really awesome player for a long, long time in the league. And I feel like nowadays, he never really reached that superstar level. So nowadays, he's often kind of forgotten about and underappreciated. But when he was playing and when you watched him play, you knew Jason Arnott was on the ice. So let's get into it here. Jason Arnott was a center drafted in the first round, 7th overall in 1993 by the Edmonton Oilers. He went on to play 1,244 games in the NHL regular season, over 1,200 games, scoring 417 goals, 521 assists for 938 points and a plus 81 career rating. Adding to that, he played 122 playoff games as well, 32 playoff goals, 41 assists for 73 points and a plus 5 rating. Stanley Cup champion with the New Jersey Devils. Very, 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 very good player. Incredibly good player. 50 to 60 points pretty much year in and year out. Some years he had more than that. Some years, he did, because of injuries or for whatever reason, ended up a little less than that. But for the most part, I think if you averaged out his career numbers, he was pretty much a 50 to 60 point player throughout his career. A second line center, a big physical player, not afraid to get involved physically, not afraid to drop the gloves. He had multiple seasons with over 100 penalty minutes. He had a lot more seasons with the 80 to 90 penalty minutes, somewhere around there. So not afraid to get involved physically at all. A big body, an old school hockey player. Even for a scorer and someone who is a big offensive player, he still got involved physically, like we've seen a lot with those old school style of hockey players that you don't see a whole lot of anymore. A guy like, I'm trying to think of someone in the modern game who kind of still plays like that. Jamie Benn comes to mind. That kind of player where he's a big-time offensive producer, a top six forward, but also very involved physically. And Arnott was that throughout his entire career. Played with Edmonton, played for a number of different teams. Broke into the league right after he was drafted in 1993 with the Edmonton Oilers. Played with Edmonton until the 1997-98 season when he was traded to New Jersey. He then went to New Jersey from 98 to 2002. Then he went to the Dallas Stars from 2002 to 2006. And this is where I first really start remembering Jason Arnott, when he was with Dallas. You think I'm 8, 9, 10 years old around this time. And I remember Arnott with Dallas. Then he went to Nashville from 2006 through 2010. He was the captain in Nashville. I certainly remember him playing there as the Predators really at that time started to get good. Then he split the 2010-2011 season between the New Jersey Devils. He went back to New Jersey and for a little more than half the season. Then he got traded to Washington and went to Washington in that season as well. And then his final season in 2011-2012 was spent with the St. Louis Blues, and after that he retired and was out of the NHL. But very, very long career, 1993 all the way until 2012, almost 20 years. incredibly successful career. I mean, over 900 career points. Didn't quite get to 1,000, but over 900 career points, over 1,200 games played, another 120 plus playoff games, another 70 plus playoff points. Just really, really awesome player that I think is really underappreciated now and not talked about enough for how good he was. I think, it's easy for a player like Jason Arnott to kind of go underappreciated because he wasn't that superstar player. He wasn't your first line league leader in scoring, like star player that everybody is going to remember for generations and generations. He was just one of those really, really solid middle of the lineup second line centers who was just a staple in the NHL for a number of different teams for a long, long time. Never was that, never took that next jump from going to a great player to being a superstar player. Never took that jump. And it's kind of easy to forget about those guys because when you think about the course of the NHL, there are a lot of guys like that who were really, really good players, but were always second line and never really made that jump to being a top guy. Arnott spent most of his career as a second line center, but he was a damn good one and a very good two-way center as well, obviously by his plus 81 career plus minus. Like I said, physical, not afraid to get involved, good leader, great locker room guy, and just spent a long, long time in the league. So this is a guy that if you are younger and don't really know Jason Arnott, I really think that you should go and just watch some of his old highlights, watch some of his fights, watch some of his goals and everything. And he was a really, really good player. And I just feel like he's kind of one of those forgotten guys from the 90s and 2000s that people don't really think a whole lot about anymore, but really deserve to be thought about because he was a very, very good player in the NHL for a long, long time. But great, great career for Jason Arnott, and somebody who I think deserves a little bit more recognition than they get. So trying to give him at least what I can do for recognition with this video. But that is NHL Remember Him, Jason Arnott. Certainly I remember him for Dallas, Nashville, St. Louis, where he ended his career. I certainly have looked back and watched highlights of him when he was in Edmonton, when he was in New Jersey. But really, really long, almost 20-year career. Great player and somebody that I think everyone should know. And if you don't remember him, personally live from watching him playing, go back and take a look because he was a really, really great guy and an underappreciated player in the NHL. So with that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.